Okay, hello everybody and welcome to tutorial number 5 of basic tools using Rhinoceros. Today we are going to learn about creating different types of surfaces. Now that you have mastered the curves and know how to handle and connect different types of curves, we can create surfaces out of those curves. That is the idea of 3D modeling. Okay, still surfaces do not have a 3D or do not have a solid. Okay, the idea of every 3D model for engineering, and in order to take it to a 3D printer, needs to have a thickness. Okay, and surface does not have it has length and width, but it doesn't have a height. That way the printer won't be able to manage it. So every time that we build for engineering, we need to create models that have a thickness, otherwise it would be impossible. Okay, so today we are going to start with large objects, centimeters, and we are going to start learning the different tools for surfaces. Now the surfaces always need some curves to create a surface around. Okay, so you have some curves and you want to create a surface around that. First thing we're gonna do is start with plane. So surface, plane, and we have three main tools that we're gonna use for this tutorial. That is corner to corner, 3 points, and vertical. So we're gonna create a plane, a simple plane from corner to corner. So I just click on that option and I make my plane. Okay, so here I have a surface. It's just a plane. Remember, this plane does not have thickness, but it is a surface. The surface, you can change it, you can apply different things. So that would be creating from corner to corner. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create it smaller on the top so we can start doing our tutorials. So on the top view, like on the left corner, I'm going to come over here, and there I have my plane. Okay, there we go. So we can do plenty. Now let's do another one. 3 points. In this case, instead of going from corner to corner, I need 3 points for the surface to be established. It's exactly the same surface. It's just that is done differently. Okay. So we have from 3 corners. Another surface can be vertical. In this case, I'll start with an edge. Okay, so I'm going to start with an edge on the top view. Now after I create the edge, it asks for the height. So I need to go to the front view and see what is the height of my surface. As you see, I have a surface that it's now on a different plane. Okay, that is another way of doing it. You can also draw using corner to corner or 3 points on the front view and on the right view, depending on your needs. Okay, so you can make any of these on each viewport. Okay, now those are the 3 main components of creating planes. Now these are just rectangular surfaces. Sometimes we need to create different types of surfaces where they are curves instead of lines or polylines. Now for that option, we have the following. We have loft, sweep 1 rail, sweep 2 rails, revolve, rail revolve. We also have planar curves, and we can extrude a curve. So let's start with loft. First thing I'm going to do, on the top view, I'm going to make a circle. You're going to draw a circle. Doesn't matter the radius. Draw a circle. And then after that circle, you're going to offset this circle to a smaller circle. Remember that using our offset curve, curve, offset curve, we can make a smaller circle. Okay? Maybe offset 2, it's okay. Okay? Now I have 2 circles. Now the circle inside, I'm going to bring it up. That way I can have 2 circles. As you can see over here, I have one on the bottom and I have one on the top. One inside the other. One is smaller than the other. Now I'm going to use the following tool, loft. Now on the command line says select curves to loft. So I'm going to select these 2 curves because I want to make a surface around those 2 curves. Then I'm going to press enter, and he's going to have some handles here saying where he's going to sweep or where he's going to make the surface. So he says he's going to do it counterclockwise. Okay? Now you can adjust, it has some parameters here. You can change those parameters a little and just press enter. Now you have some loft options. As soon as you click, you have some loft options and you can change them. You can rebuild with more control points if you want to change it, if you want to refit. Normally you establish the 2 curves and then just create the surface. So you press OK, and here you have a surface around 2 curves. Now this is the loft tool. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is select my 2 curves. Remember, with shift I can select the 2 curves. Control C, Control V, I'm going to copy and then paste them, and I'm only going to use the curves. Okay, so I can show you another option. Now I copied and pasted only the curves. Okay, these 2 curves are necessary for our next tool. Now our next tool is going to be sweep on 2 rails. This is another way of doing exactly the same surface, but it has something different. In this case, we are going to make another surface, but the rail, it's going to change. Now, I want to make this the surface, but here, where I have this line, I don't want to make it straight. Let's say I want to make it curvy. In this case, I need to use surface to sweep on 2 rails. But we need a cross-section curve in order to make those rails. Now on the bottom part, you see where we always talk about snap, that sticks to the grid, ortho, that makes you go straight, like perpendicular or vertical or horizontal, planar, in order to draw on the same plane, and today I'm going to show you OSNAP. If you click on OSNAP, there are some elements. You have to take off the disable button. OSNAP, take off the disable button, and we have some elements: end, near, point, mid, center. Now these will help the cursor establish a point in the plane on an object. So let's say I want to go to a point around the circle on the bottom, so I enable OSNAP, okay, and I go to near. Like if I click on near and I want to draw a curve, I'm going to click on curve, then I go near the curve. As you see on the perspective, the cursor goes right on the curve that I want. So let's say I want to start there, like on the front view. I want to do my curve starting here, but I want it to start on the circle. Like that curve has to be on the circle. So I click on I click there, and then I can create the curve that I want. And now on the top circle, as soon as the near comes out, I know that the cursor is going to end on the circle that I drew before. After I have the near button, I click, then press enter, and I have a curve. As you see, I have a curve here that started on the circle on the bottom and ended on the circle on the top. Now I can do the tool that I wanted. I'm going to go to Surface, Sweep to Rails. It says on the command line, first select the first rail. I'm going to select the top rail, then select the second rail, click on the second rail. Okay, so I have a surface, I have a curve. Okay, select on the curve, and then it says select cross-section curves. Now the cross-section curve is the curve that I wanted to create. Now I click on that and then I press enter, and as you see I have my surface. Okay, so it looks like a vase. So you can make very, very different objects from that. Let's say you wanted to create a vase, or you wanted to create a bulb, or any surface that has a curvy, like a curve between the two rails. You can do it with that option. Okay, I'm gonna move this a little bit to the center. You don't have to do that. In my case, it's just for viewing options. Okay, so I have my surface. As you see, it's not a solid. Like it's completely hollow inside. There are no caps. It's just a surface. Okay. Very well. Now let's continue with another one. There's another option that is called sweep on one rail. In this case, I have a curve. Let's say I have a curve, a very simple curve. Okay, before you do anything, remember to disable OSNAP. Otherwise, it will be more difficult to manage your curves. So disable OSNAP, and then when you need to go to a curve and start a curve from another curve, then enable OSNAP. Only in that case, when you need to start when a curve finishes. Okay, so I have a curve, and I'm going to use sweep on one rail. Now I'm going to select polyline. I'm going to enable OSNAP again, and I want to start here. So I want to make only one rail. Okay, one rail, and then I'm going to use surface sweep on one rail. What is my rail? My rail is going to be the curve. And then the cross-section curve, in this case, I don't have another rail. I just want it to be steady or the same on the whole line. I have this one. In this case, I have a surface that uses only one rail on all its way. Okay? So that is one sweep rail, as different from two sweep rails, where you need two different rails. Okay, so that is another way of creating surfaces. Okay, another option is when I have, and I'm going to draw it on the front view so you can see it better. Let's say I know that something is going to be 360 degrees, is going to be revolved. There's an option for creating those type of things. Okay? And you can revolve those. So we're going to use another tool called revolve. But first you have to draw the curves. Let's say I want to draw, I'm going to draw a curve on the front view, any curve. Okay? Now this is going to be the side view of the thing or the object that I'm going to revolve. Then I'm going to make another line. Okay, so I have a vase. Okay, and I will do a line in the middle. That's going to be, so you don't have to always draw it, but to know that this is going to be the symmetry axis. Okay, ready? Okay, now I'm going to go to surface, revolve. And now in the command line says select curves to revolve. I select my curve, press enter, then start of revolve axis. I'm going to start here on one end, and then I finish on the other end. I click. Now on the command line says start angle. Now I should start in 0, and the revolution angle is 360 degrees. Now I have, let me pull it up just a little so you can see everything. I'm going to put it over here. Now look, I've revolved 360 degrees a curve. Okay? Now I'm going to show you a little trick. Let's say I didn't like how it looked, okay? And I want to modify it, but from creating the surface. So I'm going to do it again, one more time. I'm going to make a curve, any curve that you want. Okay? Now in this curve, I'm going to make my axis. Okay? Then I'm going to surface, revolve, select my curve. Oh, there's the trick. Before you do surface revolve, you're going to click, just before you do surface revolve, you're going to click on record history. On the bottom part, click on record history, and from there, start creating your surface. Go to surface, revolve. Now I'm selecting the curve to revolve, press enter, start of revolve axis, okay, then start angle in 0, revolution angle 360. And here I have again my surface, but let's say I want to change it. I don't like how it looks. Now in this case, the record history disabled. Okay, so as I was saying, we need to create, like, I don't like the look of this base. Okay, I'm going to change it. So I'm going to click on the curve, on the front view. I can select the curve only. Then go to control points. On the left panel, you're going to have a control point option. You click on control points, and I see the different control points of that curve. Let's say I want to change a little bit the base, so I go to this point, and I'm going to put it in a little. So you see, so all the surface changes. Now I want to make this smoother. This is a very good option when you want to make things look well, when you don't know the curve and then you want to make the surface look nice. So you can change this, and you can select the different control points, and you can have your flower vase finished. So this is a very good option after you create the surface. Okay, you can record history and then just change the points. Change this one a little bit so it can look like this. Okay, very good. So that is another way of creating surfaces, and it's revolving. Okay, now we're gonna see some more simple ways to create surfaces, and it's creating planar curves. Okay, now with planar curves, I have to create a simple closed curve, any curve you like. Okay, so here we go again. Now I make a closed curve, and after that closed curve, I want to make a surface out of it. So I go to surface, planar curves, and I select the curve and then press enter, and I will get a surface out of the curve that I did. Sometimes when you have holes and they're not rectangular or they're not square, then you draw the curve around the hole and then create a surface, and you can attach it to the surface later on. Okay, so that is another way of creating surfaces. And of course we have the extrude curve. This extrude curve is going to be very handy because it's the easiest way to create surfaces. Okay, now I have a surface, a curve. I go to surface, extrude curve straight. So I select my curve, press enter, and I can extrude it. See? I can extrude my curve straight up or straight down. I can create a straight up, and I have a wall that it's curvy. You can make a curvy wall, but this is only straight. Here you extrude the curve straight, either up or down or sideways. Okay, I'm going to make another curve over here, and in this case I have extrude curve along another curve. So let's say I'm going to extrude this curve but along another curve that I have over here, just so it can have this aspect. Surface, extrude curve along a curve. I select this curve to extrude, then I select path curve near start, and it creates a surface that followed the curve that I drew on one side. So this is another way of doing a surface. Okay, that is along a curve. I want to make a surface along a curve. Okay, I also have creating a curve to a point. So let's make another curve. In this case, I'm going to make a closed curve. Okay, I'll go to surface, extrude curve to point. Now I select the curve that I want to, and then press enter. Now on the top view, on the front view, I can make point to extrude. I'm going to click on ortho, that way I can get a steady line. Okay, and here I have, oh, that didn't look right. Let's do it again. Surface, extrude curve to point. And here I have a surface on this point. Very good. Okay, so here I have different ways of making surfaces. Okay, so I can extrude a surface to a point, along a curve, on rails, etc. There are many ways of different surfaces. Okay, now let's go back to our vase, and I want to take these control points off, so I right click on control points. Then I want to look underneath this vase for a second, because I think it's not capped. Actually it is. Okay, let's say I want to put a cap, or just patch this top on the vase. I have another option on surface. When you have planar holes, like, you can patch these planar holes. So you can click on patch and select the curves and points to fit the surface. So I'm going to select the circle on the vase, then I press enter, and here there are some options. Sometimes the cap is going to look like if it was inflated. Okay, here you can organize that, change the U spans and the V spans in order to get a better view. So you click preview, and you see the cap is like inflated a little. Okay, sometimes it looks pretty cool. In some cases it's necessary to be like that because it has to follow the edge of the surface, and you can always increase or decrease the span. That way you can get it smaller. Okay, you can get it more flat. Okay. Okay, that way you can get a little bit flat. Okay. So here I have a cap. I have a little cap for my vase. And you can do caps to many different types of holes. Okay? This one is pretty good. Okay, so those would be probably the major tools to create surfaces. Now, you also have some other tools that look just like the curves, like instead of extending a curve, you can extend the surface. Instead of filleting a curve, you can fillet surfaces, and it works pretty much like you did with curves. Now you can offset a surface. Okay? Sometimes in some like more complex designs you would want to use this. But for now, we can create almost any surface that we want using the tools that you learned today. Now, for this class, I just want you to create 3 things. Just use 3 tools. One of them has to be revolve. And just use any other tools to create surfaces and show them on your work so you can upload them. So the activity and the assignment would be use 3 surfaces, create 3 surfaces, one using revolve, okay, and using the record history option so you can change it, and the other 2 you can just use loft, sweep, and whatever you want. Okay, so good luck, and see you next class.